Sunday, November 17, 2024 from Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. EasyJet flight U24663 to Marrakesh Menara will depart at 06H00 from Terminal 2D. ITA Airways flight AZ317 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 06H10 from Terminal 2B. Lufthansa flight LH1051 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 06H30 from Terminal 1 Gate 64. Finnair flight AY1582 to Helsinki Vantaa will depart at 06H50 from Terminal 2B. Air France flight AF1204 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 06H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. EasyJet flight U24547 to Milan Linate will depart at 06H55 from Terminal T2D. Air France flight AF1000 to Madrid will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France flight AF7400 to Toulouse will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Iberia flight IB592 to Madrid will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 3. Turkish Airlines flight TK1830 to Istanbul will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 1. EasyJet flight U24639 to London Luton will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U24667 to Krakow will depart at 07H00 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1148 to Barcelona will depart at 07H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France flight AF1542 to Geneva will depart at 07H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. British Airways flight BA303 to London Heathrow will depart at 07H05 from Terminal 2C. Air France flight AF1240 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 07H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Air France flight AF1896 to Casablanca Mohammed V will depart at 07H10 from Terminal 2F Gate L21. Austrian Airlines flight OS420 to Vienna will depart at 07H10 from Terminal 1 Gate 67. Air France flight AF1182 to Prague will depart at 07H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France flight AF1212 to Milan Linate will depart at 07H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F35. Air France flight AF1716 to Dublin will depart at 07H15 from Terminal 2E Gate K57. Air France flight AF1066 to Florence will depart at 07H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Air France flight AF7330 to Marseille will depart at 07H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. EasyJet flight U24671 to Rabat will depart at 07H20 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1084 to Tunis Carthage will depart at 07H25 from Terminal 2F Gate L25. Air France flight AF1306 to Düsseldorf International will depart at 07H25 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Air France flight AF1434 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 07H25 from Terminal 2G Gate G33. Swiss flight LOX647 to Zurich will depart at 07H25 from Terminal 1 Gate 65. Air France flight AF1750 to Copenhagen will depart at 07H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F31. EasyJet flight U24591 to Lisbon will depart at 07H30 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1228 to Bologna International will depart at 07H35 from Terminal 2G Gate G40. Air France flight AF1680 to London Heathrow will depart at 07H35 from Terminal 2E Gate K31. Air France flight AF7300 to Nice will depart at 07H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. Air Algerie flight AH1231 to Algiers will depart at 08H00 from Terminal 2D. Avianca Flight AV229 to Bogotá initially scheduled for 08H00 will depart at 10H09 from Terminal 1. ASL Airlines France Flight 50161 to Algiers will depart at 08H00 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF1340 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 08H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air France Flight AF1554 to Algiers will depart at 08H05 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Qatar Airways Flight QR42 to Hamad International will depart at 08H15 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF7362 to Lyon will depart at 08H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. Air France Flight AF2 to New York John F. Kennedy will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 2E Gate K55. Air France Flight AF1010 to Nuremberg will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G38. Air France Flight AF1192 to Basel Mulhouse Freiburg will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G23. Air France Flight AF1422 to Munich will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France Flight AF1642 to Geneva will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Brussels Airlines Flight SN3632 to Brussels International will depart at 08H30 from Terminal 1 Gate 64. Air France Flight AF7432 to Bordeaux will depart at 08H35 from Terminal 2G Gate G29. Air France Flight AF7460 to Montpellier will depart at 08H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France Flight AF7500 to Nantes will depart at 08H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. EasyJet Flight U24557 to Catania Fontanarossa will depart at 08H45 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1394 to Budapest will depart at 08H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F28. Air France Flight AF1888 to Bucharest Otopeni will depart at 08H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F34. Air France Flight AF7490 to Pau will depart at 08H50 from Terminal 2G Gate G33. Delta Flight DL83 to Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson will depart at 08H55 from Terminal 2E Gate M48. United Flight UA984 to San Francisco International will depart at 09H00 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1746 to Malaga will depart at 09H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. Air France Flight AF1830 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 09H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. EasyJet Flight U28402 to London Gatwick will depart at 09H05 from Terminal 2D. KLM Flight KL1402 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 09H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Air France Flight AF1262 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 09H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Air France Flight AF1338 to Hanover will depart at 09H15 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Air France Flight AF1426 to Venice Marco Polo will depart at 09H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. Air Senegal Flight HC404 to Blaise Diagne International will depart at 09H15 from Terminal 2C. EasyJet Flight U23808 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 09H15 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1410 to Hamburg International will depart at 09H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France Flight AF7520 to Brest will depart at 09H20 from Terminal 2G Gate G32. Air France Flight AF282 to Tokyo Haneda will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 2E Gate L22. Air France Flight AF1102 to Turin will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 2G Gate G27. Air France Flight AF1252 to Bergen will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F41. Air France flight AF1300 to Madrid will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France flight AF1348 to Barcelona will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. United flight UA56 to New York Newark will depart at 09H25 from Terminal 1. Air France flight AF1058 to Newcastle will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Air France flight AF1532 to Athens International will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F25. Air France flight AF7302 to Nice will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F31. Air France flight AF7390 to Clermont-Ferrand will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G25. Air France flight AF7480 to Biarritz will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G38. KLM flight KL1404 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 09H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France flight AF736 to Brazzaville will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2E Gate L42. Air France flight AF1138 to Vienna will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Air France flight AF1164 to Birmingham will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2E Gate K24. Air France flight AF1528 to Porto will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2F Gate F47. Air France flight AF1734 to Berlin-Brandenburg will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2F Gate F43. Lazaire flight LG8012 to Luxembourg will depart at 09H35 from Terminal 2 Guaranese. Air France flight AF1076 to Marrakesh Menara will depart at 09H40 from Terminal 2F Gate L21. Air France flight AF1104 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 09H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F44. Air France flight AF1366 to Florence will depart at 09H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air France flight AF1024 to Lisbon will depart at 09H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F35. Air France flight AF1416 to Valencia will depart at 09H45 from Terminal 2G Gate G40. Air France flight AF7434 to Bordeaux will depart at 09H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Etihad Airways flight EY32 to Zaid International will depart at 09H45 from Terminal 2E. Vueling Airlines flight VY8258 to Alicante will depart at 09H45 from Terminal 3. Air France flight AF1036 to Ljubljana will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2G Gate G34. Air France flight AF1146 to Warsaw Chopin will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. Air France flight AF1618 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Air France flight AF1668 to Manchester will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2E Gate K31. Air France flight AF1686 to Edinburgh will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2E Gate K22. EasyJet flight U23032 to Belfast International will depart at 09H50 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF7360 to Lyon will depart at 09H55 from Terminal 2G Gate G33. Air Serbia flight JU241 to Belgrade Nikola Tesla will depart at 09H55 from Terminal 2B. Swiss flight LOX633 to Zurich will depart at 09H55 from Terminal 1 Gate 65. EasyJet flight U22440 to London Luton will depart at 09H55 from Terminal 2D. Vueling Airlines flight VY8831 to Seville will depart at 09H55 from Terminal 3. Air France flight AF194 to Bengaluru will depart at 10H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K37. Air France Flight AF1580 to London Heathrow will depart at 10h00 from Terminal 2E Gate K36. British Airways Flight BA329 to London Heathrow will depart at 10h00 from Terminal 2C. Emirates Flight EK72 to Dubai will depart at 10h00 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF1842 to Geneva will depart at 10h05 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Aer Lingus Flight EI521 to Dublin will depart at 10h05 from Terminal 1. Austrian Airlines Flight OS412 to Vienna will depart at 10h05 from Terminal 1 Gate 61. Air France Flight AF694 to Houston George Bush Intercontinental will depart at 10h10 from Terminal 2E Gate L48. Air France Flight AF934 to Antananarivo will depart at 10h10 from Terminal 2E Gate L33. Air France Flight AF1130 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 10h10 from Terminal 2G Gate G29. Bulgaria Air Flight FB432 to Sofia will depart at 10h10 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF22 to Los Angeles International will depart at 10h15 from Terminal 2E Gate L34. Air France Flight AF1258 to Rabat will. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8249 to Barcelona will depart at 10h35 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF498 to Saint Martin will depart at 10h40 from Terminal 2E Gate M48. Singapore Airlines Flight SQ335 to Singapore Changi will depart at 10h40 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF30 to Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson will depart at 10h45 from Terminal 2E Gate M43. Air France Flight AF7304 to Nice will depart at 10h45 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Air Transat Flight TS111 to Montreal Pierre Elliott Trudeau will depart at 10h45 from Terminal 3. Air Arabia Maroc Flight 30828 to Rabat will depart at 10h45 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF484 to Rio de Janeiro Internacional will depart at 10h50 from Terminal 2E Gate K45. Air France Flight AF768 to Nouakchott will depart at 10h50 from Terminal 2E Gate M41. Air France Flight AF814 to Nairobi Jomo Kenyatta will depart at 10h50 from Terminal 2E Gate L33. British Airways Flight BA307 to London Heathrow will depart at 10h50 from Terminal 2C. Lot Flight LO332 to Warsaw Chopin will depart at 10h50 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF546 to Fortaleza will depart at 10h55 from Terminal 2E Gate M31. EasyJet Flight U22106 to Manchester will depart at 10h55 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet Flight U24661 to Newcastle will depart at 10h55 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet Flight U28412 to London Gatwick will depart at 10h55 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1382 to Prague will depart at 11h00 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. Arkia Flight IZ742 to Ben Gurion INTL will depart at 11h00 from Terminal 3. Azerbaijan Airlines Flight J274 to Baku Haydar Aliyev International will depart at 11h00 from Terminal 1. Kenya Airways Flight KQ113 to Nairobi Jomo Kenyatta will depart at 11h00 from Terminal 2E. Air France Flight AF1640 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 11h40 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. British Airways Flight BA309 to London Heathrow will depart at 11h40 from Terminal 2C. Cathay Pacific Flight CX260 to Hong Kong INTL will depart at 11h40 from Terminal 1. Aer Lingus Flight EI909 to Shannon will depart at 11h40 from Terminal 1. United Flight UA914 to Washington Dulles will depart at 11h40 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF178 to Mexico City Juarez International will depart at 11H45 from Terminal 2E Gate L49. ITA Airways Flight AZ319 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 11H45 from Terminal 2B. Delta Flight DL225 to Boston Logan International will depart at 11H45 from Terminal 2E Gate M48. Norwegian Flight DY1495 to Oslo Gardermoen will depart at 11H45 from Terminal 2D. Tassili Airlines Flight SF3001 to Algiers will depart at 11H45 from Terminal 1. EasyJet Flight U23242 to Edinburgh initially scheduled for 11H50 will depart at 12H20 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF7412 to Toulouse will depart at 11H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Aegean Airlines Flight A3611 to Athens International will depart at 11H55 from Terminal 2D. United Flight UA986 to Chicago O'Hare International will depart at 11H55 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1070 to Helsinki Vantaa will depart at 12H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. LATAM Airlines Flight LA8067 to Sao Paulo Guarulhos will depart at 12H00 from Terminal 2C. Lufthansa Flight LH2229 to Munich will depart at 12H00 from Terminal 1 Gate 68. Tarom Flight RO382 to Bucharest Otopeni will depart at 12H00 from Terminal 2F. Scandinavian Airlines Flight SK834 to Oslo Gardermoen will depart at 12H00 from Terminal 2B. Air Canada Flight AC873 to Toronto Pearson International will depart at 12H05 from Terminal 2C. Sri Lankan Airlines Flight UL501 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 12H05 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF926 to Libreville will depart at 12H10 from Terminal 2E Gate K55. Air France Flight AF1428 to Bologna International will depart at 12H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France Flight AF1648 to Barcelona will depart at 12H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France Flight AF62 to New York Newark will depart at 12H20 from Terminal 2E Gate K49. Air France Flight AF1276 to Marrakesh Menara will depart at 12H20 from Terminal 2F Gate L29. Air France Flight AF7462 to Montpellier will depart at 12H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air France Flight AF9402 to Marseille will depart at 12H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Air France Flight AF1596 to Casablanca Mohammed V will depart at 12H25 from Terminal 2F Gate L21. Air China Flight CA876 to Beijing Capital will depart at 12H25 from Terminal 1. China Eastern Flight MU554 to Shanghai Pudong will depart at 12H25 from Terminal 2E. Scandinavian Airlines Flight SK574 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 12H25 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF1506 to Dusseldorf International will depart at 12H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G29. Air France Flight AF1726 to Venice Marco Polo will depart at 12H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F52. Thai Airways Flight TG931 to Bangkok Suvarnabhumi will depart at 12H30 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1012 to Milan Linate will depart at 12H35 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Air France Flight AF1458 to Rabat will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2F Gate L27. Air France Flight AF1560 to Zagreb will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G23. Air France Flight AF1740 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. Air France Flight AF7336 to Marseille will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Air France Flight AF7364 to Lyon will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. EasyJet Flight U24631 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 12H40 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1850 to Copenhagen will depart at 12H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F47. Iberia Flight IB586 to Madrid will depart at 12H45 from Terminal 3. EasyJet Flight U24541 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 12H45 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1566 to Florence will depart at 12H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. Lazaire Flight LG8014 to Luxembourg will depart at 12H50 from Terminal 2 Guaranese. Air France Flight AF1546 to Seville will depart at 12H55 from Terminal 2G Gate G35. Air France Flight AF7404 to Toulouse will depart at 12H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F34. Air France Flight AF7436 to Bordeaux will depart at 12H55 from Terminal 2G Gate G38. United Flight UA55 to New York Newark will depart at 12H55 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1292 to Basel Mulhouse Freiburg will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 2G Gate G40. Air France Flight AF1442 to Geneva will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F28. Air France Flight AF1622 to Munich will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France Flight AF1728 to Malaga will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Icelandair Flight FI543 to Reykjavik Keflavik will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 1. Pegasus Airlines Flight PC5038 to Antalya will depart at 13H00 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF1184 to Tunis Carthage will depart at 13H05 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Nouvelle Air Flight BJ509 to Jerba will depart at 13H05 from Terminal 3. Sun Express Flight XQ917 to Izmir will depart at 13H05 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF90 to Miami International will depart at 13H10 from Terminal 2E Gate L26. Air France Flight AF136 to Chicago O'Hare International will depart at 13H10 from Terminal 2E Gate M47. Vietnam Airlines Flight VN18 to Hanoi will depart at 13H10 from Terminal 2E. Air France Flight AF692 to Raleigh-Durham will depart at 13H15 from Terminal 2E Gate M44. Air France Flight AF1600 to Madrid will depart at 13H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France Flight AF1780 to London Heathrow will depart at 13H15 from Terminal 2E Gate K32. Aer Lingus Flight EI525 to Dublin will depart at 13H15 from Terminal 1. EasyJet Flight U23814 to Milan Malpensa initially scheduled for 13H15 will depart at 13H31 from Terminal T2D. Air France Flight AF24 to Los Angeles International will depart at 13H20 from Terminal 2E Gate L45. Air France Flight AF428 to San Jose Juan Santa Maria will depart at 13H20 from Terminal 2E Gate M24. Air France Flight AF480 to Lima will depart at 13H20 from Terminal 2E Gate K37. Air France Flight AF816 to Havana will depart at 13H20 from Terminal 2E Gate K30. Air France Flight AF50 to Washington Dulles will depart at 13H25 from Terminal 2E Gate M27. Air France Flight AF1650 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 13H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France Flight AF662 to Dubai will depart at 13H25 from Terminal 2E Gate M49. EasyJet Flight U24565 to Milan Linate will depart at 13H25 from Terminal 2D. American Airlines Flight AA755 to Philadelphia International will depart at 13H30 from Terminal 2B Gate B. Air France Flight AF6 to New York John F. Kennedy will depart at 13H30 from Terminal 2E Gate L48. Air France Flight AF346 to Montreal Pierre Elliott Trudeau will depart at 13H30 from Terminal 2E Gate L42. Air France Flight AF1624 to Lisbon will depart at 13H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F31. Air France Flight AF1178 to Naples International will depart at 13H35 from Terminal 2G Gate G33. JetBlue Flight B634 to Boston Logan International will depart at 13H35 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF474 to Panama City Tocumen International will depart at 13H40 from Terminal 2E Gate M41. Air France Flight AF1504 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 13H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. Air France Flight AF1774 to Oslo Gardermoen will depart at 13H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F35. Air France Flight AF1808 to Stuttgart will depart at 13H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G25. Maya Flight ME212 to Beirut will depart at 13H40 from Terminal 2E. Air France Flight AF356 to Toronto Pearson International will depart at 13H45 from Terminal 2E Gate L44. Air France Flight AF1264 to Billund will depart at 13H45 from Terminal 2G Gate G27. Air France Flight AF1330 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 13H45 from Terminal 2G Gate G35. Air France Flight AF9466 to Rennes will depart at 13H55 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Turkish Airlines Flight TK1824 to Istanbul will depart at 13H55 from Terminal 1. Air Canada Flight AC871 to Montreal Pierre Elliott Trudeau will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF32 to Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K43. Air France Flight AF1234 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Air France Flight AF1452 to Gothenburg Landvetter will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2G Gate G23. LAL Israel Airlines Flight LY324 to Ben Gurion INTL will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2B. EasyJet Flight U22438 to London Luton will depart at 14H00 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF264 to Incheon International will depart at 14H05 from Terminal 2E Gate M43. Sky Express Flight GQ901 to Athens International will depart at 14H05 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF1046 to Warsaw Chopin will depart at 14H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Norwegian Air Sweden Flight D82047 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 14H10 from Terminal 2D. Kuwait Airways Flight KU168 to Kuwait will depart at 14H10 from Terminal 1. Lufthansa Flight LH1035 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 14H15 from Terminal 1. EasyJet Flight U24647 to Copenhagen will depart at 14H15 from Terminal T2D. AJet Flight VF10 to Istanbul Sabiha will depart at 14H15 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF900 to Yaoundé Nsamalin will depart at 14H20 from Terminal 2E Gate K51. Air France Flight AF948 to Douala will depart at 14H20 from Terminal 2E Gate K33. Air France Flight AF1294 to Budapest will depart at 14H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France Flight AF1840 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 14H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. EasyJet Flight U22108 to Manchester will depart at 14H20 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF422 to Bogotá will depart at 14H25 from Terminal 2E Gate K55. Emirates Flight EK74 to Dubai will depart at 14H25 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF1062 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Air France Flight AF7338 to Marseille will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air Algerie Flight AH1001 to Algiers will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2D. Delta Flight DL265 to New York John F. Kennedy will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2E Gate M45. Scandinavian Airlines Flight SK568 to Copenhagen will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2B. WestJet Flight WS9 to Calgary will depart at 14H30 from Terminal 2F. Air France Flight AF196 to Bangkok Suvarnabhumi will depart at 14H35 from Terminal 2E Gate M46. Air France Flight AF702 to Abidjan will depart at 14H35 from Terminal 2E Gate L53. Air France Flight AF898 to Fort-de-France will depart at 14H35 from Terminal 2E Gate L22. Georgian Airways Flight A9628 to Tbilisi will depart at 14H40 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet Flight U24563 to Milan Linate will depart at 14H40 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF334 to Boston Logan International will depart at 14H50 from Terminal 2E Gate M45. Air France Flight AF758 to Point A Pitry will depart at 14H50 from Terminal 2E Gate L30. Air France Flight AF1116 to Dublin will depart at 14H50 from Terminal 2E Gate K36. Egypt Air Flight MS800 to Cairo will depart at 14H50 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1158 to Newcastle will depart at 14H55 from Terminal 2E Gate L29. Air France Flight AF1800 to Madrid will depart at 14H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France Flight AF804 to Cotonou will depart at 15H00 from Terminal 2E Gate L34. Air France Flight AF1314 to Birmingham will depart at 15H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K34. Swiss Flight LOX639 to Zurich will depart at 15H00 from Terminal 1. Smart Wings Flight QS1035 to Prague will depart at 15H00 from Terminal 2D. ASL Airlines France Flight 50265 to Algiers will depart at 15H00 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF1050 to Copenhagen will depart at 15H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Air France Flight AF1142 to Geneva will depart at 15H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F31. Finnair Flight AY1576 to Helsinki Vantaa will depart at 15H05 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF1196 to Casablanca Mohammed V will depart at 15H10 from Terminal 2F Gate L27. British Airways Flight BA315 to London Heathrow will depart at 15H10 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF132 to Lagos will depart at 15H15 from Terminal 2E Gate K30. Air France Flight AF1420 to Valencia will depart at 15H15 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Qatar Airways Flight QR40 to Hamad International will depart at 15H15 from Terminal 1. Saudia Flight SV126 to Jeddah will depart at 15H15 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1304 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 15H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F25. Air France Flight AF1318 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 15H20 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Air France Flight AF1548 to Barcelona will depart at 15H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Royal Jordanian Flight RJ118 to Amman Queen Alia will depart at 15H20 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF1082 to Prague will depart at 15H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. Air France Flight AF1510 to Hamburg International will depart at 15H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F52. Air France Flight AF1738 to Vienna will depart at 15H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. Air France Flight AF9400 to Marseille will depart at 15H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F23. Air France Flight AF9420 to Toulouse will depart at 15H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F43. Delta Flight DL85 to Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson will depart at 15H30 from Terminal 2E Gate M50. Air France Flight AF198 to Bangkok Suvarnabhumi will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 2E Gate K35. Air France Flight AF860 to Lomé will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 2E Gate L26. Air France Flight AF1654 to Algiers will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Air France Flight AF7464 to Montpellier will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 2G Gate G25. Austrian Airlines Flight OS416 to Vienna will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 1. Turkish Airlines Flight TK1826 to Istanbul will depart at 15H35 from Terminal 1. EasyJet Flight U28400 to London Gatwick will depart at 15H35 from Terminal T2D. Air France Flight AF1406 to Düsseldorf International will depart at 15H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G21. Air France Flight AF1576 to Bilbao will depart at 15H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G29. Air France Flight AF174 to Mexico City Juarez International will depart at 15H45 from Terminal 2E Gate L49. Air France Flight AF1814 to Zurich will depart at 15H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Air France Flight AF1834 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 15H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air France Flight AF7308 to Nice will depart at 15H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. Delta Flight DL291 to Los Angeles International will depart at 15H50 from Terminal 2E Gate M48. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8245 to Barcelona will depart at 15H50 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF1194 to Lisbon will depart at 15H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. EasyJet Flight U24695 to Bristol will depart at 15H55 from Terminal T2D. EasyJet Flight U26638 to Birmingham will depart at 15H55 from Terminal 2D. Qatar Airways Flight QR44 to Hamad International will depart at 16H00 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF378 to Detroit Wayne County will depart at 16H05 from Terminal 2E Gate K37. LAL Israel Airlines Flight LY222 to Ben Gurion INTL will depart at 16H05 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF718 to Blaise Diagne International will depart at 16H10 from Terminal 2E Gate K41. Air France Flight AF1064 to Birmingham will depart at 16H10 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Air France Flight AF1280 to London Heathrow will depart at 16H10 from Terminal 2E Gate K31. Air France Flight AF7406 to Toulouse will depart at 16H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F35. Air France Flight AF1226 to Venice Marco Polo will depart at 16H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Air Algerie Flight AH1215 to Algiers will depart at 17H00 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1100 to Madrid will depart at 17H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F31. Air France Flight AF1168 to Manchester will depart at 17H05 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Air France Flight AF704 to Abidjan will depart at 17H10 from Terminal 2E Gate M28. Air France Flight AF7492 to Pau will depart at 17H10 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Japan Airlines Flight JL46 to Tokyo Haneda will depart at 17H15 from Terminal 2E. Turkish Airlines Flight TK1834 to Istanbul will depart at 17H15 from Terminal 1. AJet Flight VF12 to Istanbul Sabiha will depart at 17H15 from Terminal 1. EasyJet Flight U22110 to Manchester will depart at 17H25 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1088 to Bucharest Otopeni will depart at 17H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Royal Air Maroc Flight AT789 to Casablanca Mohammed V will depart at 17H35 from Terminal 2B. EasyJet Flight U24581 to Madrid will depart at 17H35 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1048 to Barcelona will depart at 17H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France Flight AF1404 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 17H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. EasyJet Flight U23810 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 17H45 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet Flight U24669 to Krakow will depart at 17H45 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF7310 to Nice will depart at 17H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. EasyJet Flight U23246 to Edinburgh will depart at 17H50 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet Flight U24527 to Nice will depart at 17H50 from Terminal T2D. British Airways Flight BA301 to London Heathrow will depart at 17H55 from Terminal 2C. Air France Flight AF1342 to Geneva will depart at 16H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F34. Air France Flight AF1496 to Casablanca Mohammed V will depart at 16H15 from Terminal 2F Gate L27. Air France Flight AF1730 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 16H15 from Terminal 2G Gate G30. Air Mauritius Flight MK15 to Mauritius will depart at 16H20 from Terminal 2F. Tarim Flight RO384 to Bucharest Otopeni will depart at 16H20 from Terminal 2F. Air France Flight AF7438 to Bordeaux will depart at 16H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France Flight AF8 to New York John F. Kennedy will depart at 16H30 from Terminal 2E Gate K49. EasyJet Flight U28404 to London Gatwick will depart at 16H35 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF52 to Washington Dulles will depart at 16H40 from Terminal 2E Gate L45. Air France Flight AF1202 to Turin will depart at 16H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Air France Flight AF7522 to Brest will depart at 16H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. British Airways Flight BA319 to London Heathrow will depart at 16H40 from Terminal 2C. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8223 to Santiago de Compostela will depart at 16H40 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF7368 to Lyon will depart at 16H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Aer Lingus Flight EI527 to Dublin will depart at 16H45 from Terminal 1. EDA Airways Flight AZ313 to Milan Linate will depart at 16H50 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF1140 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 16H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F47. Air France Flight AF7504 to Nantes will depart at 16H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. EasyJet Flight U24699 to Budapest will depart at 16H55 from Terminal T2D. Air France flight AF7340 to Marseille will depart at 17H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Air France flight AF652 to Saint Denis will depart at 18H00 from Terminal 2E Gate L26. Air France flight AF1022 to Munich will depart at 18H00 from Terminal 2G Gate G38. Air France flight AF1180 to London Heathrow will depart at 18H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Air France flight AF7408 to Toulouse will depart at 18H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F52. EasyJet flight U24649 to Copenhagen will depart at 18H00 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF9410 to Lyon will depart at 18H05 from Terminal 2G Gate G22. Air Baltic flight BT966 to Vilnius will depart at 18H05 from Terminal 2B. Air France flight AF470 to Mauritius will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2E Gate K41. Air France flight AF1312 to Milan Linate will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. Air France flight AF1766 to Florence will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France flight AF7392 to Clermont-Ferrand will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2G Gate G21. Air France flight AF7442 to Bordeaux will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. ITA Airways flight AZ325 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 2B. Lufthansa flight LH2233 to Munich will depart at 18H10 from Terminal 1. Air France flight AF1006 to Düsseldorf International will depart at 18H15 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Air France flight AF1440 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 18H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Air France flight AF1042 to Geneva will depart at 18H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F34. Air France flight AF1176 to Helsinki Vantaa will depart at 18H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F41. JET2 flight LS268 to Leeds Bradford will depart at 18H30 from Terminal 3. Anna All Nippon Airways flight NH216 to Tokyo Haneda will depart at 18H30 from Terminal 1. Tunisair flight TU441 to Monastir will depart at 18H30 from Terminal 3. Air Algerie flight AH1085 to Ben Bella will depart at 18H35 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1776 to Marrakesh Menara will depart at 18H40 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Air France flight AF568 to Cairo will depart at 18H45 from Terminal 2E Gate K35. British Airways flight BA323 to London Heathrow will depart at 18H45 from Terminal 2C. Air Baltic flight BT694 to Riga International will depart at 18H45 from Terminal 2B. Iberia flight IB590 to Madrid will depart at 18H45 from Terminal 3. Air Baltic flight BT862 to Tallinn will depart at 18H50 from Terminal 2B. Lufthansa flight LH1041 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 18H50 from Terminal 1. Air Arabia Maroc flight 30818 to Tetuan S Ramel will depart at 18H50 from Terminal 3. Air France flight AF28 to Los Angeles International will depart at 18H55 from Terminal 2E Gate K45. Finnair flight AY1578 to Helsinki Vantaa will depart at 18H55 from Terminal 2B. Turkish Airlines flight TK1828 to Istanbul will depart at 18H55 from Terminal 1. Asiana Airlines flight OZ502 to Incheon International will depart at 19H00 from Terminal 1. Air Austral flight UU974 to St. Denis will depart at 19H00 from Terminal 2B. EasyJet flight U24633 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 19H00 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U23034 to Belfast International will depart at 19H05 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U24675 to Glasgow INTL will depart at 19H05 from Terminal T2D. LAL Israel Airlines flight LY328 to Ben Gurion INTL will depart at 19H15 from Terminal 2B. EasyJet flight U24681 to Manchester will depart at 19H20 from Terminal T2D. Scandinavian Airlines flight SK1560 to Copenhagen will depart at 20H10 from Terminal 2B. SmartWings flight QS1037 to Prague will depart at 20H15 from Terminal 2D. Air Algerie flight AH1083 to Ben Bella will depart at 20H20 from Terminal 2D. Vueling Airlines flight VY3185 to Gran Canaria will depart at 20H20 from Terminal 3. Air Serbia flight JU243 to Belgrade Nikola Tesla will depart at 20H25 from Terminal 2B. Air France flight AF12 to New York John F. Kennedy will depart at 20H30 from Terminal 2E Gate L33. Air France flight AF1106 to Dusseldorf International will depart at 20H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G31. Air France flight AF1438 to Hanover will depart at 20H30 from Terminal 2G Gate G25. KLM flight KL1412 to Amsterdam Schiphol will depart at 20H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Air Algerie flight AH1013 to Algiers will depart at 20H35 from Terminal 2D. Aegean Airlines flight A3615 to Athens International will depart at 20H35 from Terminal 2D. British Airways flight BA327 to London Heathrow will depart at 20H35 from Terminal 2C. Air France flight AF1004 to Rome Fiumicino will depart at 20H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France flight AF7482 to Biarritz will depart at 20H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G29. Air France flight AF1018 to Frankfurt am Main will depart at 20H45 from Terminal 2G Gate G21. Air France flight AF1124 to Lisbon will depart at 20H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. Air France flight AF1376 to Bilbao will depart at 20H45 from Terminal 2G Gate G24. Air France flight AF1610 to Hamburg International will depart at 20H45 from Terminal 2F Gate F21. Eurowings flight EW7403 to Hamburg International will depart at 20H45 from Terminal 1. Air France flight AF1122 to Munich will depart at 20H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F55. Air France flight AF1694 to Budapest will depart at 19H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Nouvelle Air flight BJ543 to Monastir will depart at 19H25 from Terminal 3. EasyJet flight U24529 to Nice will depart at 19H25 from Terminal 2D. ITA Airways flight AZ315 to Milan Linate will depart at 19H30 from Terminal 2B. Air China flight CA934 to Beijing Capital will depart at 19H30 from Terminal 1. Tiway Air flight TW402 to Incheon International will depart at 19H30 from Terminal 1. Air India flight AI142 to Indira Gandhi International will depart at 19H35 from Terminal 2C. Nouvelle Air flight BJ521 to Tunis Carthage will depart at 19H35 from Terminal 3. Air France flight AF1310 to Nuremberg will depart at 19H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G23. Air France flight AF1578 to Naples International will depart at 19H40 from Terminal 2G Gate G40. LOT flight LO336 to Warsaw Chopin will depart at 19H45 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U24545 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 19H50 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF1246 to Warsaw Chopin will depart at 19H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Lufthansa Flight LH2235 to Munich will depart at 19H55 from Terminal 1. Swiss Flight LOX645 to Zurich will depart at 19H55 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1886 to Edinburgh will depart at 20H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Scandinavian Airlines Flight SK580 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 20H00 from Terminal 2B. China Eastern Flight MU570 to Shanghai Pudong will depart at 20H05 from Terminal 2E. Scandinavian Airlines Flight SK836 to Oslo Gardermoen will depart at 20H05 from Terminal 2B. Austrian Airlines Flight OS418 to Vienna will depart at 20H10 from Terminal 1. Norwegian Air Sweden Flight D83639 to Copenhagen will depart at 20H50 from Terminal 2D. Air France Flight AF256 to Singapore Changi will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 2E Gate L46. Air France Flight AF1384 to Tunis Carthage will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Air France Flight AF1400 to Madrid will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F28. Air France Flight AF1608 to Stuttgart will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 2G Gate G26. Lusair Flight LG8022 to Luxembourg will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 2 Guaranese. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8256 to Alicante will depart at 20H55 from Terminal 3. Air France Flight AF990 to Johannesburg OR Tambo will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2E Gate L22. Air France Flight AF1238 to Vienna will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. Air France Flight AF1268 to Manchester will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K32. Air France Flight AF1354 to Algiers will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2F Gate L31. Air France Flight AF1358 to Rabat will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2F Gate L23. Air France Flight AF1380 to London Heathrow will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K31. Air France Flight AF1462 to Stockholm Arlanda will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France Flight AF1582 to Prague will depart at 21H00 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Air France Flight AF1326 to Venice Marco Polo will depart at 21H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F41. Air France Flight AF1350 to Copenhagen will depart at 21H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Air France Flight AF1448 to Barcelona will depart at 21H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F53. Air France Flight AF1748 to Malaga will depart at 21H05 from Terminal 2F Gate F47. Air France Flight AF1134 to Berlin Brandenburg will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F34. Air France Flight AF1274 to Oslo Gardermoen will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F50. Air France Flight AF1414 to Zurich will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F52. Air France Flight AF1492 to Valencia will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2G Gate G30. Air France Flight AF7466 to Montpellier will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2F Gate F54. Air France Flight AF7494 to Pau will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 2G Gate G38. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8829 to Seville will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 3. Oman Air Flight WY132 to Muscat will depart at 21H10 from Terminal 1. Air France Flight AF1266 to Florence will depart at 21H15 from Terminal 2F Gate F35. Ethiopian Airlines flight ET735 to Addis Ababa will depart at 21H15 from Terminal 2C. EasyJet flight U27136 to Barcelona will depart at 21H15 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF7370 to Lyon will depart at 21H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F23. Air France flight AF7506 to Nantes will depart at 21H20 from Terminal 2F Gate F43. Aer Lingus flight EI529 to Dublin will depart at 21H20 from Terminal 1. Air France flight AF1028 to Bologna International will depart at 21H25 from Terminal 2F Gate F48. Air France flight AF1564 to Birmingham will depart at 21H25 from Terminal 2E Gate K34. ITA Airways flight AZ311 to Milan Linate will depart at 21H25 from Terminal 2B. EasyJet flight U28408 to London Gatwick will depart at 21H25 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1732 to Milan Linate will depart at 21H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F27. Air France flight AF7312 to Nice will depart at 21H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F32. Air France flight AF7342 to Marseille will depart at 21H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F51. Air France flight AF7524 to Brest will depart at 21H30 from Terminal 2F Gate F49. Air France flight AF7394 to Clermont-Ferrand will depart at 21H35 from Terminal 2G Gate G40. Air France flight AF7440 to Bordeaux will depart at 21H35 from Terminal 2F Gate F30. Emirates flight EK76 to Dubai will depart at 21H35 from Terminal 2C. Air France flight AF7410 to Toulouse will depart at 21H40 from Terminal 2F Gate F29. EasyJet flight U22114 to Manchester will depart at 21H40 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U23476 to Liverpool will depart at 21H40 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U23812 to Milan Malpensa will depart at 21H45 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF1242 to Geneva will depart at 21H50 from Terminal 2F Gate F33. EasyJet flight U24008 to Venice Marco Polo will depart at 21H50 from Terminal 2D. Air France flight AF274 to Tokyo Haneda will depart at 21H55 from Terminal 2E Gate L48. Air France flight AF1032 to Athens International will depart at 21H55 from Terminal 2F Gate F26. Air France flight AF1016 to Dublin will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K36. Air France flight AF1502 to Turin will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2G Gate G25. Air France flight AF1558 to Newcastle will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2E Gate K23. Air India flight AI2022 to Indira Gandhi International will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2C. Egypt Air flight MS802 to Cairo will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 1. Qatar Airways flight QR38 to Hamad International will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 1. EasyJet flight U22442 to London Luton will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U22770 to Bristol will depart at 22H00 from Terminal T2D. EasyJet flight U23244 to Edinburgh will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2D. EasyJet flight U27604 to Lisbon will depart at 22H00 from Terminal 2D. Singapore Airlines flight SQ331 to Singapore Changi will depart at 22H20 from Terminal 1. Air France flight AF382 to Beijing Capital will depart at 22H25 from Terminal 2E Gate K30. LAL Israel Airlines flight LY326 to Ben Gurion INTL will depart at 22H30 from Terminal 2B. Air France Flight AF1390 to Istanbul will depart at 22h40 from Terminal 2E Gate K33. Vueling Airlines Flight VY8241 to Barcelona will depart at 22h55 from Terminal 3. Aeromexico Flight AM4 to Mexico City Juarez International will depart at 23h00 from Terminal 2E. Air France Flight AF658 to Dubai will depart at 23h10 from Terminal 2E Gate K35. Air France Flight AF188 to Hong Kong INTL will depart at 23h20 from Terminal 2E Gate K41. Air France Flight AF406 to Santiago Arturo Merino Benitez will depart at 23h20 from Terminal 2E Gate K55. Air France Flight AF454 to São Paulo Guarulhos will depart at 23h20 from Terminal 2E Gate K45. Air France Flight AF1154 to Algiers will depart at 23h25 from Terminal 2E Gate K31. Air France Flight AF116 to Shanghai Pudong will depart at 23h30 from Terminal 2E Gate K43.